I started as an opera singer and started having seizures and was told to come back when they had stopped. And for me, I did all that I could to do that because it was so important to me, that career, to be up on stage in front of people and singing. I went to see a neurologist and they tried every medication possible, but my seizures just kept increasing. And I was having 7 a week. Hi, my name is Martin. I have an extreme form of epilepsy where I experience 1 seizure a week, and I'm here to share my story with you. I actually was recommended to have brain surgery in 1998. A neurologist came up to me and said, "How can you be an opera singer and sing in 4 different languages when your left temporal lobe is so damaged?" And I said to him, well, the truth is, it doesn't matter whether it's Italian, German, French, or English, because it's not what the word looks like that I'm remembering. It's what it sounds like to the musical notes. Each musical note has a syllable or a sound that goes with it. And it would be the beauty of that that attracted me to the music. Now, when I had the first surgery, the seizures actually stopped. And I was so excited that I packed my bags and moved back to Sydney to go to see the Australian Opera. I went to see the head vocal coach who had previously told me to come back when my seizures had stopped, and I sang for him. And he said to me, "There is no question about the quality of your voice, but what we've got to do is get that strength back again for you to be singing to 2,500 people, because that's the size of the Sydney Opera House Opera Theatre." And I was happy to do that. He said to me, "Maybe you should study a Bachelor of Opera. That'll give you the weekly training to get that strength back in your diaphragm and lungs to be singing like that." So that was my introduction to Sydney University. I started doing this degree and was so excited to be singing and learning all about this. But suddenly after 9 months, I started having seizures again. And I went and saw a neurologist and they did further testing and said, "Look, unfortunately, we've failed to remove all of the dead brain tissue there. We've got to go back and do another operation. It'll be in 2000. And for me, I thought, well, if it's going to stop the seizures, I'm more than happy to do that. So it was at the end of 2000, after I actually had sung in the opening of the Olympics, that they did the surgery. But unfortunately, it didn't completely stop the seizures. They found a bit of scarring on the right side of my brain, and they said, if we do that same surgery on the other side, you won't be able to return short-term memory, which is about 10 to 15 seconds, into long-term memory. So it's not possible for you to do that. So for me, I felt like I had completely lost this opportunity to be an opera singer. I was one time standing on Elizabeth Street in Surrey Hills. That's where the Opera Centre is, and that's where you do all the training before you go to the Opera House to do the final dress rehearsals. And I was looking at the Opera Centre and part of me just wanted to walk up those stairs and be there again, because you go up 3 stairs and you're at the green room, 3 levels up. And the other part of me thought, I've got to leave this. What do I do with my life now that I'm 30? And I thought, well, I'm already a student at Sydney University and no one's really teaching me how to live with epilepsy. All they're saying is you've got epilepsy. And I wanted to understand what was happening. So I thought I can maybe change the focus of my study from opera to understanding the brain. So as it was connected to the arts faculty, it became a Bachelor of Arts degree. And so my focus went from opera to sociology and psychology. I started that degree in 1999, and because of the surgery, it took until halfway through 2005 to finish it. But I kept focusing on it because I was really excited to start learning about the brain, to understand why was my condition occurring and why were people so scared of me when I had a seizure? Because for me, I was unconscious and had no idea what was happening. But all I knew that were people were so scared and they wanted to exclude me because of that. I decided to finish that degree with having done 18 months of study in psychology. And because a counsellor suggested that maybe I should make psychology also my major, because sociology was my major for the arts degree, I did a graduate diploma in psychology to complete the following 18 months. But the problem was, unfortunately, at an undergraduate level, people weren't seeing the fact that I'd had a region the size of a pear removed from my left temporal lobe as a disability. And they weren't allowing me to change my methods of examination, because that is normally the part where you read and write and where you sit an exam. So when that area is damaged or even mostly removed in my case, it is quite difficult to just quickly answer questions in an exam. Now I advise people to actually give people the opportunity either to verbally give the expression of what their knowledge is, or write it like a thesis, give them a month or the semester to do it, rather than say you've got 3 hours to write 3 essays. And that's how I'm trying to change university studies now. People need to know that the person who is right hemisphere dominant, like myself, their brain works differently and they have so much to offer. As I did not have the marks to be 65% because I was not doing well in my exams, I had to find another faculty to do my honours degree. That ended up being the Masters of Education Research. I did a degree that was focusing on children who have absence epilepsy and are misdiagnosed as having ADHD. And this was seen as so important that because the research became so big, because it was supposed to only be a year, but my research was much bigger than that, they said, what we'll do is upgrade this now to a Master of Philosophy. And so it ended up being 2 degrees that I studied under this subject. And I got to the end of that degree and received a high distinction for that. At the end of that degree, I saw the group of people who were responsible for deciding who can do a PhD. And I said to them, I'd love to do a PhD. But I was told, no one here wants to be your supervisor because of your condition. And so I found a doctor in another faculty who was prepared to be my supervisor.